and I hope you're doing really well. Okay, so today I'm here to talk about an extremely important topic, super crucial, which is why working too much might be costing you your career. So, there's a topic that I love to ask product managers when we begin coaching, when I'm talking to them on breakthrough calls, and even generally, which is, hey, how many hours a week are you working? How many hours do you actually spend working every week? Now, here's a secret. Everyone overestimates this number. They think they're they're working like crazy hours. And actually, it's not true. Most people are working less than they think. But even then, I love to ask this topic or this question. So here's what I found. There is always a strong correlation between how much people are working and at what level they are or how quickly that they are growing. So there's a correlation, but it's a negative correlation. As in, most often, I found it the other way, that the PMs that are stuck, are stagnant, haven't gotten to the level that they want to get to, they are working really hard. And the ones that have made a huge amount of progress or they're quickly moving through, they're actually not working that hard at all. And so you are now surprised, right? I hope you're surprised because I've helped countless PMs eliminate 5-10 hours per week and still get promoted faster. So now here's the deal. When you don't get this right, when you don't get this working the right amount right, what happens is you start feeling unappreciated. You feel that you've put all this work and it doesn't really matter. Or you feel that you have no choice but to just work hard, spend time, go above and beyond. Um, that's just that's just ongoing. And then you also start feeling like circumstances are actually working against you. As in, there is a set of things that are happening in the world, and you're just not part of that group that's quickly growing broadly. And you start thinking about your peers who have started to actually get promoted and are moving along much further in their career, but they always seem to have these wonderful Instagrammable lives and they're always hanging out and don't seem to be going as crazy as you are. And then when you're doing all this additional work and you don't get this right, I've also seen people start to lose sleep. They are, waking up in the middle of the night all worried. It's not just about work. The fact is that there is so much interconnection between how well you're doing in terms of health, how satisfied you're at work, how you are behaving with your loved ones, your family, your friends, how you come across in broader social networks. All those things are consistently correlated to each other, right? So if that's the case, let's talk about what happens when you do get this balance right. So when you do get this right, there is this balance you have between flow and hustle. Flow and hustle. What does that mean? I'll tell you in a minute. Flow is you moving in congruence with and you're accepting success. You're letting success come to you. And hustle is the time where you work hard and you make extraordinary things happen just out of pure will, pure resourcefulness. So when you get this balance right, those things are in alignment with each other such that you're not working like crazy, you're accepting success. And at the same time, it's not that you're not doing enough to get success. But when the balance happens right, you also get promoted and you get raises as a byproduct of you doing excellent work. And you don't have to fight for them as much. It's you're given the recognition and the success based on the work you have delivered and you're recognized for. But more so, getting new jobs, getting success and recognition on stages as product managers, that becomes easier because of a whole bunch of different factors that I'm about to get into. So let's talk about why working too much is costing you a career. What are the actual things that are happening? And there's 4 things that happen with folks that are working a crazy amount that causes them to ultimately just not get that level of success and promotion that they desire. So here's number 1. Number 1 is burnout. I mean, I don't know how many PMs I've come across where they are completely burnt out, where they are, they've gone past the point where they're engaged and they care. At this point, they're just making things happen out of sheer will. And to be honest, life is not meant to be lived that way. There's this great, especially in the US, especially in America, there is almost a pride that people have that, oh, look, I worked more than you and I work so much, and almost a sense of shame attached to relaxing, to chilling out, to taking time off and hanging out with others. And it is unhealthy to a strong degree. I mean, there is a reason, there's a whole bunch of reasons for all sorts of health epidemics in the US, but this is one of the big ones. So, a lot of people are burning themselves out in product management, also in an attempt and with a false understanding that by doing this extra work, you're going to get ahead and you're going to get that bigger house, that achievement, those rewards that come with more success. So the counterintuitive things with burnout is that the more you burn yourself out, the more you have energy left only for the tactical tasks, only for the easier tasks that require no thinking. But you cannot excel at the strategic initiatives that truly make a difference in your product, with your team, that gets seen you as the leader, and that gets you seen as the leader, and that ultimately gets you to the next level, whether it's a promotion, the next job, starting out your own companies. You're burning yourself out way too much. And so you never have energy for the things that really matter. And where this shows up is that many of my clients, when we initially started working together, they would set a goal that they're going to work on these important initiatives. They're going to think of the 3-year strategy or the 5-year vision. They're thinking far ahead. They're going to analyze customer data. There are things that really make a difference in the things that product managers do to make a huge difference for their teams. Now they allocate this time. They are 100% committed. But then they track what happened. What happened is that they ended up checking emails every 5 minutes, responding to Slack messages. All the time ran out, and they were still at the same place where they had started originally. And so, why did that happen? Why do you think that happened? It was not a time issue. It was not an urgency issue. It was an energy issue. Because they had burned themselves out, they now no longer have the energy to actually put towards things that require mental energy. Your brain is, I don't know what's the ratio, I always get it right. It's some percentage of your total body mass, but it consumes a lot more energy than the rest of your, than in proportion to its size. Thinking requires energy. Thinking needs that energy. And you can't do that when you are burnt out. And what happens is you consistently set up this time, and then you have to actually work to resist the temptations of doing those easier things, of going and responding to that email, or ordering stuff off of Amazon or Netflix, things that are going to give you immediate return. And if you're in a burnt out state, you would gravitate towards those. And so even though you had time, you'll not do that. And the thing is, many of times my clients are not recognizing that. They are instead blaming third parties. They're blaming, hey, my team really needed me. They kept sending me Slack messages, and so I could not work. So your teams kept sending you Slack messages, but who responded? Who put that on their plate? You put it on your plate. You said you made a decision at that point that responding to that Slack message is more important at this point than working on that vision and strategy uninterrupted. And that decision happened in a split second, but it was so much guided with how much energy you had at that point. So consistent pattern. Burnout equals switch to easier tasks equals blaming the team for actually making them switch, and then those difficult things that require the mental energy never gets done. So that's number one. Second one is where your day's agenda goes. So there is, in high performers, is a very studied fact, and especially with high performing product leaders, is that they drive their life's agenda and their day's agenda themselves. They determine for themselves what is truly important for them to have maximum impact. That is what drives the agenda. And then everything else just fills in. It's an old analogy of, you let's say you're filling a cup and you have big rocks, pebbles, and stone and sand. So big rocks are the most important things you need to get done. Difficult things. Pebbles are smaller chunks, and sand is just everything else. If you fill up the cup with sand, you're going to have no space for the rocks or the pebbles. But if you first fill it up with the rocks, then you add the pebbles, and then you have sand taking the remaining space, suddenly you can fit in everything, or you can fit in enough of the sand. Okay. So here's what happens. When you are working this much, you're probably also spending more of the time on the sand. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that, you get addicted to working on that stuff that is called the sand. It's again, the emails and everything. And so along with the burnout, it's also a sense of addiction that, I can get this done. And that takes over your life, and you're no longer driving your days, your weeks, your months agenda. And so that's the second thing that happens. When you are working way too much, now you're no longer doing the most important things. You're driven by the short-term things. But there's a related thing here, which is when you're working on the short-term things, you start building the wrong personal brand. Right. So what does that mean? So look, can you imagine going to your boss's boss or your boss's boss's boss and saying, drop everything. I need an answer to this right now. Can you imagine doing that? Probably not. Now, can you imagine doing that to, maybe somebody who's a peer? Or maybe somebody who just quickly responds to these things? Probably, yeah. Why is that? It's because you have this perception in your mind that that person who's higher up, their time is so valuable, and they're working on such important things that you can't just tell them to drop everything. Now, some of it is a positional issue, but the other thing is a branding issue, which is that they have also built their personal brand such that they work on difficult, important things that are extremely relevant and extremely important for your company to run, this product to be successful. And so, whatever you're asking them to do, it's important, but really not that important. And so they'll take their time to get back to you. The thing is, you can build the same brand without having that positional power. It's about training other people to think of you in that terms, to associate you with that level of personal brand, that you are someone who's strategic, who's running crucial projects for the company. And so they should not expect that you're going to drop everything and just do the work because they told you to. Now, the harder you're working and the more quickly you start responding to them, you start letting their agenda drive your life's priorities. What also happens is you then build that brand that, hey, if I go to this person, they'll just get it done. And so what happens is, in this case, some of the things that people are, they could go to multiple people. They are then going to come to you to get those things done. And so now it's a vicious circle where they had this thing that they could get an answer from many places, sometimes themselves. You are the one who always responds fast. And so now you're training them to come to you. And then it just keeps going. And your personal brand keeps getting worse. And so that's a third thing. It's not just that you didn't have energy to work on the high impact things. It's not just that you change your life's agenda to suit other people. Now you're also training them to come to you more often. And so now there's a vicious circle forming. And so working too much is costing you your career. But there is one more thing. And this might be the most important of them all, which is when you are working way too much, what happens is you start to hate your job and hate your life. You resent it because you no longer have any balance. You no longer have a sense of fulfillment that's equivalent to the amount of work you put in. This hard work yields short-term success, but long-term, you've set yourself up for failure. And so over months and over years, you don't see the progress in your career. And I've seen this consistently where, people are, so many of my clients and other PMs who I spoke to, they were working extremely hard, not getting recognized, not getting the promotion. Then they would go and leave that job, go on to the next one, and the same cycle will repeat. And what you would see if you looked at their past career history is that they had spent 3-4 positions at the same level, working at different companies, starting out great, slowly getting into this case of no one appreciates me, no one recognizes me, I work crazy hard, I don't get rewards, this place sucks, I'm out of here, and on to the next company. Repeated patterns. And one of the big correlations and actually a causation was they had worked extremely hard on the wrong things. And then all these things had happened. They had got burnt out. They had trained those people to come to them for all these urgent requests. They never had the energy to work on the important things. They started to hate their job in their life, and they're on to the next one. And while others, they're at this position where they're doing extremely well, VP, director, all these things are happening. Own struggles, but career-wise, they are forward. And, they never really worked that crazy hard. So if I were to summarize all of this, it's one of the mantras that I repeat so many times. My clients repeat it all the time, which is from today, we are going to not let the job run us, but we are going to run the job. We are going to not let the job run us, but we are going to run the job. And so what does that mean? That means you take command of that job such that you can now move forward with a sense of ease, of grace, and excitement and energy. And at the same time, you have time to spend with your kids, which I'm about to do after this code life, or go get a massage, which is also something I'm about to do later. But just life starts to really work out. And it's interesting that these are the same people who you don't get Slack messages from, or Google Chat or whatever you're using messages from at 2 a.m. These are the same people who set boundaries in their life. And no matter what role you're in, it's doable if you believe in it. So I'm going to summarize, but I know so many people, this is one of those areas where incentives are often misaligned, and their perception and the way they measure their success is by how much work they're putting in. And that's the wrong thing. And you consistently need a coach and a community to help you readjust such that you're moving in the right direction, free up 10 plus hours every single week, and yet get promoted faster. And if you're a product leader of any sort, product manager, aspiring product manager, maybe somebody working adjacent to product management, use my link to set up time with me. I can't speak to everyone, but you'll have a short application to fill. The link is shobachuk.com/apply or intentionalproductmanager.com/apply. Use that link to set up time with me so we can dig deep into your career, uncover if there's some patterns that are here, and if there's ways we can help you get to that next level. So I'm gonna repeat and summarize for you what really goes on. What goes on is when you're working more than 40 to 45 hours and working crazy, that's one of the worst ways to get promoted to a product leader, because you start getting burnt out, which means you have no energy for the strategic initiatives that make a true difference, and you start gravitating towards tactical tasks. But not just that. Also, you are now starting to let other people's agendas and urgent needs and fake deadlines determine what you do, rather than you taking ownership of your day and truly driving it. Which means now that those people are trained to come to you rather than searching for things themselves and expect that immediate answer. And then that's just a vicious circle. And what ends up with a lot of folks is that they start hating their job, hating their life, hating their career, and be in a case of where they've been consistently moving at the same level from one job to another, because they could never really work on the things that made that massive difference that got them promoted to the next level. Don't let that happen to you. You need coaching, you know where to come, shobachuk.com/apply. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you very soon. And by the way, anyone has questions, post them wherever you're seeing this video. I look at these questions and respond. So any sort of questions, feel free to reach out. Take care.